There was a time when darkness wasn't just a condition, it was my address. I didn't want to wake up, not from fatigue, but because consciousness was the enemy. Because waking meant returning to a reality carved from concrete and despair, solitary confinement. 23, sometimes 24 hours a day in a cell no bigger than where you park your car. A steel door that swallowed sound, a steel sink that spit rust, a concrete slab masquerading as a bed. No windows to frame the world, no clocks to measure its passing, no sunlight to warm skin growing pale. No conversations to remind you of your humanity, no touch to confirm you still existed. Just me, and the thundering silence of my thoughts. There's a different kind of silence that exists in solitary, not the gentle absent sound that the monks seek or lovers cherish. This silence has weight, mass, intention. It's not peace, it's erasure. I remember lying on that concrete slab they called a bunk, watching paint peel from the ceiling for hours, each flake a calendar day dropping away, feeling myself dissolve into the institutional beige, becoming invisible even to myself. Sleep became my only religion, my escape hatch from a reality I couldn't bear to face. I would dream of home, not just the place, but the feeling of laughter that came from the belly, not from desperation, of second chances that didn't require paperwork and parole officers. And every time consciousness dragged me back, reality would hit me like a blow to the chest. I was still in that box, still trapped in a cage that existed as much in my mind as in the concrete. There were moments when the darkness felt like my only companion, moments when breathing itself seemed pointless, moments I wouldn't wish on the men who put me there. But then something shifted. Not all at once, not in a dramatic breakthrough with swelling music and sudden clarity, but in a whisper, a hairline fracture in the darkness, a crack of light in a place where light didn't belong. One day, a prison guard, a man who carried keys in one pocket and faith in the other, saw me reading my Bible, the Bible the chaplain had left me like a life preserver in drowning waters. He stopped outside my door, metal keys suddenly silent at his side, and slid a book through the slot. No speech, no lecture, just a few quiet words about God's plan, about faith finding you in forgotten places, and a look that pierced the institutional veil, a look that said, "You still matter." And that book was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. At first, I didn't recognize the lifeline in my hands, just paper and ink, words from a stranger, but as pages turned, something else turned with them. This Holocaust survivor, the psychiatrist who had walked through history's darkest corridor, was somehow sitting across from me in that cell, speaking not to an inmate, but to a man had forgotten he was one. He wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." I read that line over and over, wearing down the page with my fingertips. This man had been in a cage just like me, different walls, same imprisonment, and yet, instead of letting the cage break him, he had found meaning inside of it. If he could survive Auschwitz and still speak of purpose, maybe, just maybe, I could survive this concrete box and discover mine. That was my first real taste of inspiration. Not motivation that fades by sundown, not hype that crashes when reality hits, but inspiration, the kind that doesn't just wake you up, it excavates something buried within you, uncovers what was always there waiting. The word inspiration itself comes from Latin inspiratus, to breathe into. In ancient times, inspiration wasn't casual, it was sacred. The breath of God moving through his people like wind through reeds. It gave voice to the voiceless, direction to the lost, and courage to the broken. And when you're broken, when you're standing at the edge of yourself, wondering if stepping off might be easier than continuing, inspiration isn't optional, it's oxygen. It reminds you that beneath the inmate number, beneath the mistakes, beneath the shame and the sentences and the years lost, you're still alive, and there's still more to do. That your story isn't over while you still have breath to tell it. Inspiration doesn't always arrive dressed in brilliance. Sometimes it's a single sentence in a borrowed book. Words, and they somehow find you when you stopped looking. It shows up faithfully, like the dawn after the longest night. It doesn't demand your attention, it offers its own, seeing you when you become invisible even to yourself. That's what inspiration truly is. It doesn't always announce itself with a roar. Sometimes it's just a whisper. Keep going. When every other voice, including your own, is screaming, give up. And if you learn how to listen to that whisper, to cup your hands around that fragile flame and protect it from the winds of doubt, it might just save your life too. It was the breath that brought me back from a death I was dying by inches. And it might just be the breath that brings you back too, from whatever prison holds you, whether built of concrete or of your own making.